We got some packages here. I got some stuff I've been waiting for. We got the Christmas sale haul. You know, if you've been following along at any point, normally I do these hauls and I do these videos where at the end of the month I make sure that I talk about every single thing that I've watched, and I try to watch everything and have my opinion on it like a mini review. But this is something that it was not really planned. It was more of like a FOMO or a impulse buy. Now, all of these films I actually truly wanted, and so they've been on my radar for a while. But to take full advantage of the sale, you know, it's great to save money, but it wasn't planned at all. In December, I don't normally, buy a lot for myself, and in this month alone, there was only 2 solid titles that I had on pre-order that I really wanted, and I think total before this sale, I only picked up a few things, and last month I went a little overboard. So it's not really overboard, but this sale was definitely a pretty big splurge purchase that wasn't expected. So as we dive in, most of everything here, I've either seen it before or it was really high on my radar. It's something that I just had wanted to get into. And, maybe I saw it when I was a real little kid and I just kind of vaguely remember it. So we have all that stuff. And throughout the time, most of the stuff here, like definitely Saturday afternoon films. So if you follow along on any of my live streams, I definitely do a Saturday afternoon recommendation every Saturday, something I might be watching. So these films, even if I haven't watched them yet, they will come up in some kind of form of me talking about it. So, at some point I'll talk about these again. But the reality is, the first one here is what kind of got me into it. I knew that there was going to be like a $6 in that range, like $5-6 and up sale through Kino Lorber. So I took advantage of that. But then I noticed that I had wanted to do my pre-order for Shout Factory. Was doing Humanoids of the Deep. That was a movie that was a complete blind buy, but I loved the movie poster, and I was like, there's some Shout stuff that I really want. So as I did the pre-order for that, I picked up a few titles here from Shout Select and Shout Factory, stuff that was 100% on my radar that I had wanted for a while. There was only one of those that I didn't really need it. Like, it was something that it was a blind buy, but I never saw the trailer. I remember seeing it on store shelves. I remember walking through the Walmart and seeing it. But then it wasn't until after it wasn't on the shelves anymore that I started hearing people talk about it and saying it was like one of the best Christmas movies. It's really awesome and got to check it out. So the blind buy on the 4K here is, that's something I'm going to dive into today and have my thoughts and opinions on it. But I've never seen the movie at all. So looking forward to that. And then Arrow Video was having their sale. So I took advantage of that. There was a few things here that, I didn't really need day one, but there was 2 things specifically that I wanted. And so the very first thing here, let's dive into the Arrow Video stuff. And it was Conan the Destroyer. I picked up the premium box set Blu-ray. It was on sale for $30. Now, back in January, this was released, and I missed out. I completely forgot about it. I was trying to get the 4Ks, and then by the time I went to go order, these were gone. And I eventually tracked down a 4K of the premium box set. But then I was like, I don't want to spend all the extra money for Destroyer. I think it's fine, but Barbarian is pretty much my favorite of the 2. And I think the Blu-ray is going to be fine. I say it all the time that, a good 4K or 2K or any kind of good new modern restoration done on these Blu-rays looks pretty good. And so just that slight uptick I might be getting out of the 4K, I didn't really need it. So I think in my head, it was more that completionist of like, I got the 4K of the other one. Maybe this needs to be 4K. So I finally picked this up. Glad I got it. And I just absolutely love that. I love all the colors and just the original artwork. So really glad to have this finally. But then the next thing here is something, I picked up the 4K because I think the price was right on this. And it's something I hadn't seen in probably like 20 years. But it was something that, for the price, 100% glad to have it in the collection. And it's probably, I've never had it before because I never remember seeing this on store shelves. So while I saw this, I think DVD was still king back when I saw this, and that was how I saw it. Somebody had bought the DVD, and they're like, you got to check this film out, and it's a Wes Craven film, so 100% I did, and we're talking about The Hills Have Eyes. So glad to be diving into this one. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I mean, I get the gist of it. I kind of, remember it, but yeah, this version of the movie, oh man, looking forward to diving into this. Now here's something that it came highly recommended. Like a lot of people were talking about this. And then very recently I saw that, I'm pretty sure Umbrella put one out. There was a nice premium box set version of this. I'm pretty sure out of one of the Australian boutique label companies. But this is something that I had no problem picking up for the price point. I saw the trailer and I was totally into it. It's kind of a me movie and it's Audition. So really looking forward to diving into this. I don't know much about it other than what I saw in the trailer. So really looking forward to this, but 100% I'm going into this one blind and looking forward to it. But this Blu-ray here was a brand new 2K restoration from the original Vault elements. So this is another one that there was, I think the Blu-ray is just fine for me. I don't need any 4K or anything because I'm not sure if that was what the premium edition was offering, but I just remember seeing that vaguely. Now here's something that I picked up. This was the Blu-ray, and I picked it up because it was $10. I think for $10, I'm all in on this because it's another one that I remember seeing when I was younger, but I vaguely remember it. So, I mean, I totally get what it's about, but it's something I don't really have in the forefront of my memory. And I'm not a huge Stephen King guy. Like, I like some of his films. I definitely have a few of my favorites, but most of the Stephen King films, yeah, I just kind of, I could care less. But this one, for $10, I think was great. Now, there was a 4K for $20. But this is something that, and I think some of these sales are still going on, but you have to check out for yourself. But this one here, I think was still going on for a little bit. But anyway, so The Children of the Corn Blu-ray, something I hadn't watched in quite a long time, but glad to have picked this up finally. And again, this is another one that brand new 2K restoration from the original film camera negatives. I didn't need the 4K disc. I think this is going to be just perfect. For $10, I don't think I can go wrong with that one. So then we got that. So then diving into the Shout movies. The very first one here is something, this is the one that I had never seen before. Huge blind buy, but high recommend, and it just came out on 4K. So glad I waited on it. It's The Holdovers. This is something that, other than it being a Christmas movie and a lot of people recommending it and saying how awesome it is, it's the only reason I have it. So I'm not really sure, but also, this is one that if I don't love it, I'm not keeping it around. It'll probably easily get sold off or given away or something. It's one that so many people seem to love. If I don't love it, I know there's going to be a good home for this one. Now, these two I absolutely love. The very first one here that I want to talk about was something that I was excited for. And originally I had this on pre-order day one. But then with everything else going on and the other stuff that I had decided I wanted instead, I canceled it because I actually ordered it through Amazon. And that was around the time I was getting a lot of stuff through Amazon that were coming in damaged and broken and just kind of, problems. And as I get this one came direct from Shout and the case is broken. So it's kind of shaking in here. And you can see the case is actually broken. So it's not limited to just Amazon, but out of all the times that I've ordered from Shout Factory or any of these other boutique labels, I almost always have a really good experience. And this one here, I'm pretty sure I know exactly how it got broken because as I watched the mailman deliver it, he dropped it and kind of stepped on the package. So I'm pretty sure that's how it got broken, but you never know either. But this is something that, replacing the case and where it's damaged, it didn't seem to damage any of the paper or anything like that. So this is an easy fix for me. But anyway, Hush is something that, it was a day one and then something, I picked up a whole bunch of other things at that time and I was like, I need to cool it on my spending right now. I think I'm at my budget or over my budget. But yeah, this is something that, glad to have finally picked this up. And yeah, man, this is definitely exciting because this is something that had never been on physical media. It's a movie that I found way back when it came out. And then it's just something I've been waiting for, a version of this to be available. So glad to be diving into this on the 4K for the first time. And with the surround sound, no, this was a DTS HD master audio, so no Atmos or anything like that. I still think is going to be absolutely top notch because she can't hear. So all of those scenes that have sound and stuff, I think are just going to be top notch. It's going to not be A Quiet Place, but like how A Quiet Place has those quiet sounds. And then when the sound hits, it's just pretty impressive. I think that's going to be the same thing. So I'm looking forward to this one. And this movie here is another one. I've seen it. I love it. I grew up watching this. And so diving into the 4K for the first time. And it's been out for a while. So this is something that was 100% on my radar. But it's another one that, even though it was on my radar, I had the Blu-ray. We watch it all the time, at least twice a year. it was never a day one purchase. This was something I was like, I totally wait for a sale. I love the movie, but I didn't need the 4K. So finally pulling the trigger on this one, and it's Clue. So glad to have this finally, and just an all around good time. And there's times where I love the original art and times where I love what they did for the new stuff and they do new commissioned art. Now, this is something that I like. I don't know who did the art on this, but I just kind of adore it. I think it's pretty sharp. So I'll probably end up keeping that around. On my boutique labels, I like to keep the slipcovers on the regular stuff. The slipcovers go in a box. But this one here, the fact that they're that, so I'm hoping there is a reverse side of this slipcover. I'm not even sure if there is. Why don't we just open it and find out? Let's see. Oh yeah, so we got discard on there, really sharp. And for Clue was like the first time that it was probably like one of the first two movies I ever saw with Tim Curry. So Legend is my all-time favorite Tim Curry performance. I think he just knocked it out of the park. So this is not double-sided, which is very unfortunate. Now I understand it's a 4K, so I totally get them saving money and not printing on the other side because usually you can't see through it. But the fact that this is the exact same art that this is, having a reversible cover would have been nice. It was just a nice touch. So it's just a nitpicky thing. I'm not complaining all that much, but I mean, I guess I kind of am. But either way, just a nitpicky thing. It would have been nice to be able to flip that over and have that original artwork, but I still like the new stuff on that. I don't always like the new art, but that's pretty sharp, I think. And all around, one of my absolute favorite films. But yeah, that one and Annie, I think, were the very first films I ever saw with Tim Curry, and I really knew who he was. And I didn't see Legend until a few years later. And like I said, that's like my all-time Tim Curry performance. So we got that. And then with this, here is the Kino Lorber stuff that I picked up. So now in this pile, I went a little bit over budget, not really over budget, but I went a little overboard, I think, on the Kino Lorber stuff, because this is the one I had like a few $100s worth of stuff in the cart, and I was like, I gotta whittle this down. And even after I whittled it down, I still thought it was a little bit much. But there was a lot of stuff in here for like $5 or $6, and almost everything. There's a few things that I had never seen before. And the few things that I have, there's a lot of things in here that I had seen before, but I saw when I was like really young. And so there might be like a vague memory of it, but the actual whole entire movie, I really don't remember. And most everything here is like a Saturday afternoon film. So these are ones that I'm going to be talking about. I do the Saturday live streams. I always recommend Saturday afternoon films. So these ones are probably going to come up again. But yeah, this is something that as we dive in, the very first thing here, this one here was starred Haley Mills, John Mills, James MacArthur. Love the original movie poster on here, and it's something that came out in the 60s. So I get that it's not for everybody, but it's The Truth About Spring. Absolutely love that. I think the artwork on this is just absolutely top notch. Really, really sharp. And that one, you got ships. I think they might have been pirates. I watched the trailer. I was like, I got to get this. And here's another one. So this one here stars Patrick Dempsey, but Jennifer Connelly's in this one, and that's what got me into it. I saw the poster, the price was right. I think this was like the $5 or $6 price tag, and I didn't even get to watch the trailer because when I tried to find the trailer, there was just this clip of Patrick Dempsey taking some like crusty ballet slippers out of a tree, and there was like snow on the ground. But I was like, it seems like it's right up my alley. I like, it's not really a slow burn, but it's just like a slower pace type movie. Something great for me to watch on a Saturday afternoon. And Jennifer Connelly, I don't think you can go wrong. So I'll watch anything she's in. And I do. I think Patrick Dempsey is just absolutely top notch. And this one came out in the 80s. So this is in 1988. And something that it completely passed me by. But Jennifer Connelly doesn't come up. Patrick Dempsey's the headliner here in the original movie poster. And on the back, when it says, certain people that starred in it, who directed it and everything, Jennifer Connelly doesn't even come up there. So where she was in her acting career or what, how big of a role she plays, I'm not sure. But in the back of this, they do show her in both images. So she's on both of those. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Now here's one that I actually had the DVD, but over the past year, the DVD was in my storage. And so I had started pulling all that stuff out and like trying to go through my movies. And I was like, there are certain movies that I know that I want to upgrade and certain movies that I don't need anymore. So over the past year, this DVD was at the used bookstore and I kept picking it up and I was like, you know what? I gotta get that movie because I haven't seen it in such a long time. I gotta get it. I don't think I have it. But then sure enough, I did. It wasn't in my phone because I started using a new phone app. And so I just hadn't scanned any of the stuff that was in my storage. And so when I finally pulled it out and I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm going to definitely order this now. And I upgraded the DVD. I traded that in. And so, yeah, so this is something I'm looking forward to diving into it because it has been such a long time since I've seen this one. But yeah, that's another fun one and good price on it. Now, here's one. I vaguely remember it, but I saw it when I was a kid. And I saw it such a long time ago. As I rewatch this, it's going to kind of feel like, you know, a first time watch for me, but I'm sure some of the stuff will come back. And so from what I remember of the film, you know, it's Michael J. Fox and Secret of My Success. So from what I remember of this film, it was, you know, he gets this job at a place, but then he gets like a lowly position, like a mail clerk or something like that. But then he kind of tricks his way into becoming like an executive and having like an executive job and basically doing both jobs and tricking everybody. So it's something that's all I kind of remember from the film. But yeah, looking forward to diving into this one. Now here's something that I had on VHS, and so glad to get this upgrade because I do like a lot of these older films, but I'm also kind of a sucker for anything Fred Astaire, anything Bing Crosby. You sold me. I'm in totally. And so I do like those. I don't like a ton of like the musicals and all those dance films, but this one, I love it. And, you know, anything with those guys in it too. But Blue Skies. So this one for me is going to be a huge upgrade. Really looking forward to this. Now, this is the one, I mentioned it earlier on the live stream. So I actually have 2 copies of this because as I was going through, I didn't scan this movie into my phone app, even though I had it over here and I could have just got up and checked. But as I was ordering, I just was like, you know what? I looked at my phone. It didn't come up in my app. And so now I have 2 copies of this movie. Strange Bedfellows. So when you have such a large collection, obviously somehow I don't know how I missed scanning it into my app and keeping track, but this is not the first time that I've double dipped by accident. I love the film, but I really should have got up and checked and, you know, just to double check that I didn't have it because the films are right there. So, yeah, they're right there, right off camera. I have all the Kino Lorber stuff on that shelf. So it was no effort for me to just get up here, get off the computer and go check if I had the movie or not. So I didn't. So now I have 2 copies of this and it's not worth the hassle for me to send it back. So this is something I'm going to save for a giveaway if somebody wants this. I don't know if anybody's going to want it, but I was saying earlier on the live stream, I didn't want to, anything with a boutique label, I don't want to donate or take to the used bookstore because all I ever see is the eBay scalpers buying all that stuff up. So I'd rather this goes to somebody who wants it in a good home. So not sure how I'm going to handle that yet, but I'm going to start doing, I got a bunch of stuff I wanted to give away around January time anyway. So this is something that, you know, lesson learned, get up and look for it, man. So we got that. But then to dive into the rest of these, now this is something, it was on my radar from the beginning because I'm trying to get all of the Burt Reynolds films. And so when this was announced, I wanted it. But again, it wasn't at that, I never saw it before. So it's a huge blind buy. And even though this wasn't a huge sale, I think this was at the $15 or $17 price range, maybe $10, but it wasn't at the rock bottom $4 or $5, $6 price range that they had. And so this is a Burt Reynolds and Liza movie called Rent-A-Cop. So love the movie poster. I watched the trailer of this and I was like, I'm totally in, but I got to get all the Burt Reynolds films, whether they're good or bad. I've really enjoyed doing that because so far I've not been disappointed by any of them. There's been a couple that I would say compared to some of my favorites, they're probably in the weaker of the bunch, but still an enjoyable watch on a Saturday afternoon. But realistically, I haven't been disappointed at any of the Burt Reynolds films so far. So looking forward to diving into this. Just, I don't know anything about it. I watched a little bit of the trailer and I was like, totally got to get it. So there's that one. Now, this is something I had seen. Now, I probably was a teenager when this came out. Yeah, 91. So I was like, you know, pre-teenage, you know, and then when I finally saw it, I was like 13 or 15. And So this is Hard Way with Michael J. Fox and James Woods. So this is something that, yeah, really looking forward to diving back into this. But what I kind of remember was there's a cop and then there's a guy who's an actor. And so he's got a job where he's got to become a cop in his movie role. And so he's kind of following them around. I'm pretty sure it was Michael J. Fox was the actor and James Woods was the real cop. But it's something, I just hadn't seen it in so long. I'm not really sure. That's kind of my vague memory of it. And yeah, a popular movie star joins forces. Yeah, Michael J. Fox was the movie star. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's something that just vague memory of it, and I remember liking it. So looking forward to diving back into this. And for the sale price, you couldn't go wrong on that. Now here's one I saw when I was like a really little kid, and I vaguely remember just one part of it, and it's when the angel comes down and you see her wings. Like that's pretty much all I ever remembered of this movie. And so when they announced it, I was like, oh, I'll get it eventually. And then I just kind of forgot about it. So when I saw it on sale, this was like $5 or $6, and Phoebe Cates is in this one. So I had to grab it. And it's Date with an Angel. She's literally got some wings. But Phoebe Cates is not the angel. So yeah, this is something that I vaguely remembered it, and I don't even know if it's a real good one. But yeah, I had to pull the trigger at that price because I want to revisit this movie. Now, here's something I absolutely love, and I just recently talked about this. I had it on DVD for the longest time, but this is an actual Christmas movie, but I know a lot of people are like, it's not a Christmas movie. Well, it takes place on Christmas Eve, and there's mob elements. There's definitely, it's a crime movie, but John Cusack's character steals money from the mob. He's working with Billy Bob Thornton, and it's The Ice Harvest. This is just a really good film. It's a hard R. I mean, it's not like super hard R, but like there's definitely some murder and it's a robbery, and a lot of this scene takes place at a strip club, even though I don't think there's really any nudity in the film. But yeah, this is something that I love this. It's a great Christmas one for me. I absolutely love it. Great acting, and John Cusack. I don't think you can go wrong with that. So that was a great pickup for me. Here's one that I thought it was okay, but when I first saw it, I was a little disappointed. So if you know me, you've been following along at any time, I'm a huge sucker for heist movies. I love heist movies. I love them all. And it's more of like a guilty pleasure for me. So I even like some of the bad ones. But this is one that when I saw it, I think I wanted something different, or I wanted something a little more. So I thought it was decent, even with the acting not being the greatest. And so you have Kim Basinger, Val Kilmer, and it's the real McCoy. Now this is something that, we've seen these types of movies before. So she was a thief. She's really good at her being a thief. She goes to jail. She gets out of jail, and then she gets basically forced into stealing stuff again. So we've seen that type of movie before a million times. It's kind of the standard, cliche of any kind of heist movie. But yeah, this is something that for the price point, $5 or $6, glad to revisit it. But I do remember when I first saw this, and I think maybe even on my second watch of this, I just kind of was like a little disappointed because I don't know, but I think after the rewatch, it's been a few years since I've seen it, so really looking forward to getting into it. Now, the next two here, I've seen the one, and the other one is a complete blind buy, solely based on the artwork alone. So we're going to talk about that one first, and it's Alien Outlaw. Absolutely love that cover. Now that's something that one would have sold me 100% when I was a kid, looking for movies in the video rental store. 100% would have just dove into this film, but I completely missed it. I watched a trailer of this when they were releasing it, and so I was like, oh, I'll get that eventually. Well, eventually came, and this is another one I think was maybe it was 10, but it might have been closer to that $15 or $17 range. So it wasn't like the bigger sale, but glad to have this. And it's definitely a cult film. So it's something I might not even enjoy, but just based on that poster alone, like even if I hate this film, like that's a movie poster that I would definitely track down one of the originals. I just think it's really cool. And this was a 4K restoration from the original camera negative, but it's on a Blu-ray. And that usually gives you a really incredible picture, just a nice happy medium between 4K and Blu-ray. A lot of those restorations, I don't think you even need to go the 4K route after that restoration. I think it looks really top-notch on the TV. Now this is something that, one, this movie poster when I first saw it, this is what sold me on the film, but it's something that, it's an oddball one. Now this is an Australian film, but it stars Henry Thomas. So you have an American actor in Australia, and I'm 100% like this entire film is like an Australian film, but somehow we got a release here in America. I think that's how it worked. But in Australia, this was called Frog Dreaming. Here, it was called The Quest. And so, one, I absolutely love this movie poster. Now, some of the other movie posters are pretty cool. There's an Australian one that's like all hand drawn. That's an amazing movie poster. I'll have to put that on screen for you. But this is something that the VHS I had of this, not as good as this. This poster right here is why I rented this movie when I was a kid. But if you've never seen it, this is one where Henry Thomas, he's in Australia, and then he goes on this adventure. And so you see it on the cover. He's got the gun, he's got the little scuba gear that he kind of made, and then there's a monster in the background. So 100% top notch. But this is something that, you know, it unlocked my imagination, you know, how they made movies back then. It was just something really sharp. And so it always stuck with me. Now, all around, I would say this, I got it because of nostalgia when I was a kid. This is something that probably most adults would be kind of disappointed by, I think. But yeah, when I grew up with this one, I absolutely love it. I know my wife is not a fan. None of my kids really got into this one, but I did. And so Henry Thomas's character, he's in Australia. There's a monster in a rock quarry lagoon, and they try to go investigate it, and he's going to go on that adventure. So it's just interesting enough, and from a little kid's perspective watching this, very suspenseful. You know, adult eyes watching it, not as much, but still, just, you know, I just had to grab it. I love that movie poster, and again, an upgrade from the VHS. Glad to have this in the collection. So that was it. That was all of the things that I picked up for the Christmas sales. Let me know if you dove into any of these Christmas sales, what you picked up, or if you're going to grab any of these, and if you want me to specifically review anything, because I did not get to watch everything, and so I'll be diving into that over the next month and a half and try to knock all the rest of these out. And I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the members. I appreciate everything you do. And you can always join the membership down below. You don't have to. A thumbs up is always good for us. But if you want to do the membership, we have one here on YouTube, but then we also through the store where we sell the hoodies and the hats and the shirt, like pretty much everything that I'm wearing in most of the videos. You can find on that store. Link is down below, but there's membership options there with posts and dedicated videos and also discounts throughout the merch. So you can check all that stuff out. We appreciate everything you do. You're going to want to check out this video right here. With that, remember to watch a movie today, and I'll catch you guys next time.